Joining us to discuss this is Mo Alithi. He's a former communications director for the DNC and executive director at Georgetown's Institute of Politics and Public Policy and a Fox News contributor. Nan Hayworth sits on the Independent Women's Forum Board of Directors and is a former New York Congresswoman. So, Mo, I'm going to just start with you because as the former spokesperson for the party, of course, it's impossible to herd cats, right? You try to do your best, provide some messaging. How big a deal do you think this is, and do you think that the party is in danger of moving too far left?
Yeah, the party's at an interesting point right now. So far, the calls to eliminate ICE is a minority position. Most Democrats, most elected Democrats have come out against eliminating it. A lot of them are calling for reforming it. Let's take a look at the policies, the personnel, the practices that are inhumane, that are hurting people, that are just not being effective. That's a legitimate place to be, especially against the backdrop of this family separation debacle. So looking at how to reform ICE is a very legitimate and I would think a mainstream position. But the abolition is bad policy and it's bad politics. It's taking the conversation away from the family separation problem.
Because it sounds like anarchy.
The Democratic Party right now on that issue, on the family separation issue, has sort of the political and moral high ground. And to voluntarily shift the conversation away from that just does not seem like
for a communications director, even a former one, it must be frustrating. We're going to hear from President Trump in any minute now. He's made comments about the Supreme Court, so we will go to them as soon as we have them. In the meantime, Nan, do you think that the Republicans, just press your advantage, right? If the Democrats, even if it is a small minority saying that they want to abolish ICE, should the Republicans just press on?
Well, it's a couple of very prominent voices who have been touted for 2020, including Elizabeth Warren and Kirsten Gillibrand, who are leading the cry to abolish ICE. And I agree completely with Mo. I think it's fraught with political peril, and it probably is a minority position within the Democratic Party. But yes, it presents a tremendous opportunity for Republicans because we can point to this as being a leading position within the party. And, of course, most Americans do want to see border security. They want to see our laws changed. And there are Democrats like Amy Klobuchar who are calling for that correctly. And they support the president's pillars as well. The president gets a lot of support, including from Democrats, Clinton voters, communities of color. So Congress really, I'd like to see the Republicans in Congress get their act together and get a bill passed.
Take a listen to President Trump yesterday on this whole issue of Democrats and the idea of abolishing ICE.
I hope they keep thinking about it because they're going to get beaten so badly. I love that issue if they're going to actually do that. They're seriously talking about that because you are going to have a country that's crime-ridden. The Border Patrol agents, ICE, these people are incredible.
That was actually one of the things, and actually it's the Customs and Border Patrol that if you're talking about family separation initially, like that, they are carrying out the orders. It's not even ICE. So it's like a lot of confusion.
Yeah, right. At the end of the day, it's the president's policy that has separated these families. And so by focusing on ICE specifically, we're taking the spotlight off of him. He's the one who pushed this policy that was not required by law to separate the families.
But he backed off on it under pressure.
But we still have not reunited the families. We still actually in many cases can't. We're not hearing any plans from this administration on how to reunite those families. No one is saying take away border security. But when you're separating them, as this president chose to do, and have no plan to reunite them, that's the problem. That should be the political conversation that we're having right now.
We're about a minute 45 seconds away from the president's comments. And so in the meantime, Nan, the Republicans aren't off the hook when it comes to immigration.
No,
They've tried to pass several pieces of legislation. They cannot get it done in the House. And this is going to come to a head at the end of September when the funding bill comes down. You used to be a member of Congress, and now you get to sit back like all of us and, observe. Do you think that they should try again to get something done or just wait and just feel the pressure in September?
Dana, for all kinds of reasons, and Mo, as you know, this is, yes, although certain policies have been enforced somewhat differently, differently. Now the president, of course, has issued an executive order, but it is existing law that needs to be changed. Existing law that existed under President Obama's administration as well. This is an ongoing problem that's been left to the Republicans to fix. The fundamental pillars the president has said: DACA recipients need to have legal security, border security is important, walls and technology, and the visa lottery and chain migration.
Yep.
Those can be done. They have broad support.
We have about 45 seconds until those remarks from the president. But so, Mo, let me ask you, if you're looking at 2020 hopefuls for the Democrats, should they press this issue now and hurt the Democrats going into the midterms, or potentially hurt them? Or do you think it helps Dem turnout?
I think talking about the failure of this administration on immigration, the family separation crisis, and the congressional Republicans' inability to get their act together on anything when there is a bipartisan bill on the table and they can't even get that passed, that gives Republicans a lot of what they're looking for, that Democrats are able to get behind. That's something that
really,
Democrats
the country would really
focus
benefit.
on.
We have the president of the United States now talking about his Supreme Court pick.